Hey guys, Chomsky here. Just wanted to basically rehash a congratulations you pulled. And with primals being a little 2x today, I thought I'd talk about Gharol. Happy December 1st. Uh, but yeah, just want to talk about Gharol because he is by far my lowest tiered mythical. Uh, Yeah, uh, frankly, when he first came out, she came out. I think it's a she. When she came out, yes, she came out. Um, People were really geeked on her because the metamorph with her, and that's justified. I thought it was really badass that basically she gets a chance to hop along anybody's attack. I mean, you're talking about a quarter of the time. So really just some more damage and it's an AoE. Like that is ridiculously cool. Um, but that's all she did. Like there wasn't anything else that she did. Like she just AoE attack. She's not really tossing in too much like any debuffs or any buffs. Um, which is kind of neat because she gets this quasi heaven cast on her. Um, which helps because she's not putting anything else out there. But it's just kind of meh. This does smack. This A2 does do a lot of, a lot of damage. Once you get a shit ton of buffs on her, like think like Senna on her with all the continuous heals and all that stuff. That's an easy way to get a bunch of buffs on her. And she's ignoring a third, uh, more or less, of the target's defense with it. Pretty big. I remember using her in Hydra a lot. This was way back when, and she just did a lot of damage. But it was really, really like, like indicative of everybody else attacking. So, uh, this video is going to be basically just 3 different builds I would make for her that would really go into her Form 1 because I think this is really an an often overlooked element. And I have Mask of Rage on her that she receives 5% less damage from enemies under a provoke skill, provoke debuff. And then I don't know the gemstone name, but her defense going up 1% every time they receive a critical hit. So it sounds good, but in practice against PvE, uh, there's not really a high chance of getting critical hit because all the enemies in PvE are capped at 15% of a crit rate. So not really the greatest, but I do like that chance just to increase her defense. Um, the reason why I'm going for that is I want that provoke. She's placing it, so that's gonna happen, and it's an AOE. It's based on HP, so that kind of sucks. But she gets an unkillable buff for 3 turns. She has an ally protect. She has this shield that's gonna be beefy because again, Form 1 is HP based, and 30% of her max HP for 2 turns. That's a big shield. That's roughly about 30,000 HP of a shield, or HP shield right there. As well as the A1 here, she removes any shield buffs on that one enemy, has a 50% chance of increasing the cooldown of a random skill on the target. So again, that's fine. And then she's decreasing the duration of all buffs on the attacker by 1 turn. It also heals all allies except this champion by 50% of the damage taken whenever she is hit. So there's a whole lot of damage mitigation there, and a whole lot of, like I, I think a whole lot of fun there. So decreasing the duration of all buffs on the attacker, like that's kind of like what is that? Harvest Jack does something very similar, right? Um, yeah, Harvest Jack does something similar. So that's kind of cool where we can get into that. Um, And I mean, you're gonna have provoke out there because that's really the main thing for her is this way she basically takes care of everything. You know, and she has that unkillable for 3 turns. It's not gonna it's not gonna be an like it's not gonna be a continuous infinity unkillable, but with other champions out there like Emic or other skill cooldowners, like this could really just be continuous. So really, really, really a lot of fun. Um, so how I have her built, and this is an old one here, but this was gonna go to Helm Smasher if I ever got the scrolls for it, but whatever. Um, so let's talk about the build here. Here, I wanted protection because I want that unkillable to be protected as much as I can, and it's uh, yeah, I just want to protect those buffs, man. Unkillable is basically what I'm really going for. Um, the shields that's another thing, but that's fine. Uh, really, just getting that chance to increase that unkillable is sweet. So here in this protection one, only 81,000, so she's not doing that much damage, and that's fine. Really, it's kind of like Geomancer. I just want her to soak up as much as she can, um, because in reality, that's all that I'm putting her in for the chance to be 100% protected, unkillable, and then just her soaking up all the damage as much as I can, and that's it. Like defense is pretty low, but if that unkillable is out there and there's no other strip, then there we go. So what you can do, you could have a high resistance Gharol. So this way, if that protection set doesn't land on that unkillable, it doesn't get taken off or anything like that. So you could either do a high resistance or do a 9-piece protection. I'm using an attack ring on her. It does have HP, it does have attack, so that's not so bad. Doing crit damage on the amulet just because there's HP, and then a very small resistance. And then I chose accuracy just because of the defense, really. So I could maybe producing on the fly here. I could gain more HP here, lose a little bit defense. That's fine. You know, this is even better. Don't know why I didn't put it on to begin with because I don't need accuracy. She places provoke, so that's fine. Um, but yeah, just a little bit more, and yeah, in all reality, these could get bumped up just a little bit. But the premise out there, the structure is just have her shit protected. So another preset I did for her. Well, there. I mean, here's another protection, just a little bit less, but faster. Because ideally, with her, you want her as fast as you can because you want to put out that unkillable, albeit after a stripper. So if you have Crixia, or even a Kaimar that could strip everything, or Madame Saris, you know, have her go after them because if there's stone skin out there, it's pointless. So that's just ridiculous. Um, I decided to go with another kind of off the wall one, and this one's just a four piece stun set with a 5-piece protection. Again, leaning into that whole protection, although it's only 25%, so there's a whole lot of randomness. But the stun set there, just to make sure that they may get stunned. Um, it's an 18% chance, right? Yeah, 18%. So you do need some accuracy. So if you do go stun set, that's an idea. It's kind of cool to mess around with that, but it's not exactly the greatest. Or at least my stun set isn't the greatest. I'm looking at 81,000 HP. It's fine, but I'm really wanting to get more than a hundo, just because I like round numbers. So that's an idea. The other one I had was just Stone Skin, and frankly, that's a cop out. It's a 9-piece stone skin. Um, is what I have. She's slow as hell at 190, 101 HP, resistance at 323. Not the greatest, but the whole idea is that I put provoke out there and I soak up that first hit through my stone skin. As a 9-piece, I that stone skin becomes 75,000 HP. So that's pretty rad. That's pretty formidable. That's not the most, but that's fine. Um, Again, I'm not really taking her out to PvP. So for PvE, that's fine. That's that'll soak up. So putting provoke out there is kind of like what I'm really going for. Um, in the second form with her, you really just, if you have a cat's gaze, you just want to have as much damage as you can get. You know, uh, if you have a Duchess, so this way she's under a veil would be great too. Um, there could be some pretty buku uh, damage that comes out of that, but again, I am just having her soak up as much as I can, just because that shield that she does put out with Ally Protect is 30% of her HP, which can go up a lot. So that's not so bad. Um, like again, I just really want to go heavy damage. You could also toss in blades here, which I kind of have, messed around with, but I wanted the stats. Um, you know, Strength sap on it is huge, just because you're having that a weaker version of destroy set on her, and that's fine. And this is just to increase more speed. So I got really lucky with my gemstones. Like, as I was talking about, like 3185, and they're the same level. Um, that I'd rather go with that. Like, I don't need accuracy, but if you have good gemstones, I could see where you want to toss in blades on her, especially in Form 1. Form 2, straight up damage. Just go nuts. Crit rate, crit damage, all that, yay. So Cat's Gaze, um, yeah. Or the Blade of Talon, or the Talon, um, wherever you may be. I really need to clean out that stuff. Like, having a Malefic Talon, because you having crit damage and HP, especially if you're going to go in the second form, you really want attack rather than HP, but this will at least help you get there, in case you want to do a provoke or anything like that. You could also do a retaliation set on her, because that makes sense, since there would be more chances for her to attack, as a counterattack. But again, it's kind of wonky to get an HP and attack going on her at the same time. So she is fun. I just think that a lot of people overlook Form 1, because she is solid. Uh, I still have Crushing Rend on her because I still have her as an attack champ. But if I was to change the masteries, you know, it would be, I that this one wouldn't land. So maybe I would just stick with offense and support. It's not gonna extend unkillable or anything like that, but maybe it would. It won't, because I was looking at another. But you could go lasting gifts just for the shield. That could help. Um, if you get there. You know, I only did the accuracy just in case, but more and more I think I did that wrong. So I may need to redo my masteries, but on Gharol, since I don't really use her that much, she's kind of tossed down to the bottom of the pile. Again, like, I think she's a good champ. Congratulations, you got her. Um, but I really don't use her that much, and maybe I need to. Um, and then maybe that'll make me change her masteries that much more. But at this stage, I really don't. We do have that Enchanted Forest coming out, or whatever they call it. I don't know when that's going to drop. I would imagine Wednesday/Thursday because that's when they usually drop new stuff. Um, Maybe even tomorrow because Curse City uh, gets gets redone, in a bit. I don't know. Uh, I don't even know what area it would be in, but either way, so maybe you'll use Gharol there. Um, she does help out on my Curse City when I do um, the Fire Night one that comes up there. So every so often. But yeah, still solid, still enjoyable. Uh, but yeah, congratulations, you pulled a Gharol. Now have fun.